This is a McIntosh MC-2505 solid-state power amplifier, just like it says there. You can probably see my shirt in the reflection. And this power amp, for years, I've lusted after, as most people have, the blue meters. I don't care how it sounds. I wanted the blue meters, although I knew it'd sound pretty good, because essentially McIntosh and Marantz are the only ones I've seen that offered these blue meters. These guys with black glass face, and then Marantz with the 1970s silver, like that, inset, probably as seen in high fidelity. If you look in the background, you saw one of the Marantzes. But this McIntosh, this was the first of their sort of new breed in the late 60s when they went solid state. And I think there was one model before this that had some issues, and then this one came out. If you go to Roger Russell's website, there's a lot of good info on there. Just Google Roger Russell, 2 S's, 2 L's, McIntosh. He was a designer there. There's a lot of great photos of gear and remembrances. He talks about the MX line of tuner preamps, which I probably should get one of those to go with this. I'll talk about this guy later in another post. But this one was the first to really sound great and had reserves of power, and a lot of folks, if you go online and Google it, Audio Karma, Steve Hoffman, both of those, whether you agree with them or not, they make some good points about this, or the 2205 or the 2105, all being sort of the same nice rich sound that was maybe not too bright but still sounded good. This one I got on Audio Gone. I just signed up and I started to poke around for one of these around Christmas of 2014, and this one came up and it seemed like a guy who was desperate to sell it, but the price was so low I thought, well, I'll take a chance. Worst case, it arrives and I got to get it fixed. But I didn't. The only issue I found is you can see some of the knobs maybe could use a little polishing up. This guy here, and this confused me at first, needs cleaned. So occasionally, if I would shut those off and listen to headphones, I'd put it back on. I'd think, that's it, I'm done. No movement here, nothing. But I'd give it a jiggle, and now I know not to do that. But it sounds really good. He packed it like he was sending it to a nuclear facility. It arrived excellently, as you can see. No cracks, knock wood, nothing. And it came here great. And this wood case that I found very inexpensively, I think on eBay, shortly thereafter, and I slapped them together. This, you can't see it, but maybe you can. There's a tag from the McIntosh clinics. No, there's no way. And there's no way to pull this out. An amplifier clinic, I think from the mid-70s in Colorado, showing that it had a clean bill of health. And to my ears, it still sounds pretty good. One thing that confused me, at some point, not too long after I got this, I'd set it up, I hooked my turntable to a phono preamp, and then I plugged it straight into this, thinking that'd be fine, and I would just use the gain, and that'd be great. Well, A, it didn't sound great because I needed tone controls, which I've talked about many times, and B, all the crazy subsonic energy was driving these things nuts and driving the amp nuts, and it kept shutting down, and I thought, I've done something horrendous. But then I thought about it, realized what happened, unplugged it, got a proper preamp in place, and everything was fine. And it sounds pretty good. I like these. This is a nice touch, having the wood feet like that. And these still, even with case, tops you're going to looking at 1,000, 1,100 on eBay just or online. Problem is getting it in one piece so that it's not destroyed. So many people don't know how to pack these. And there's always a few up there that are working great, but the front glass is destroyed or gone. And I don't know what that costs to replace. McIntosh has always had excellent service and customer service and parts support, so probably could get one. I'm not sure what the cost would be. And these are robust, and most people know how to work on them properly, so you could always get one of those and go that route. These things, this pan lock, if you don't know, now I've never done it, but I've always heard if you push that, the back falls off, quote unquote. That's a weird way of putting it, for ease of servicing. And the reason that sounded horrendous to me and disastrous was growing up, I had this weird friend, and his father had an integrated McIntosh amp from the mid to late 70s. And we were always told, do not even look at that, or disaster will strike. And actually for a long time I was put off McIntosh gear because of him, because he was weird, like I mentioned, and the stereophile, which I thought knew everything, and they know a lot, but they don't know everything, never really reviewed this. Then I found out later that was just because McIntosh doesn't want to submit their stuff. Now they do. Everyone's happy. I've got my McIntosh amp, and I'm happy. One other nice thing, I like the meter range, by the way. So depending on how much rocking out you're doing, the meters will actually prove useful in some fashion. But that's my story about the McIntosh MC-2505. Oh, and as for my weird friend, his dad had this integrated McIntosh amp, pretty nice. And then he had an Iowa tuner, a digital one from probably the mid-'80s, about the size of this thing, maybe even smaller. He had a BIC turntable, and I don't remember the model number. It was a higher-up one. It was okay, but a BIC just seems like an odd choice to go with this. And then he had a Nakamichi 700 cassette deck. I don't even remember the speakers. They looked like they were Fisher or Pioneer, early 70s with the cabinet that's like this, but really ornate. You know, it's this kind of wood, but really ornate. Sort of taking off of the AR look, but ornate. And it was just an oddly matched system. And I remember once, after his dad put the stereo sort of in mothballs, and the two of us got a hold of it, my friend said, "Hey, do you want to take the Nakamichi tape deck? I don't want it anymore." The choice was that, or he had a CD player that had come with this compact York system in 1989. And I remember it was vertical load in the front, and the thing popped out, very basic. And in retrospect, listening to it, I remember it had a lot of HF hash in the signal, probably picked up interference in the cables. Well, I didn't have a CD player at the time. This is when I was 13, so I said, "Yeah, I will take the CD player and forget the Nakamichi 700." And of course, that was the wrong decision. But it got me a CD player, and I don't really use cassettes anymore, and I don't know what I would have done with either of them, and I gave away the CD player. But I'm not going to be giving away this thing. So now you know.